What does it take to truly be regarded as the best ever?
Are you ready right now?
I feel I am the best fighter in the world right now.
Throughout the entire history of the sport, as we know it today, there have been roughly 370,000 people that have taken to the ring professionally. That's a lot to choose from, but you can quickly narrow it down to only world champions, which is a couple of thousand, and then individually separate the guys while analyzing the 10 basic key factors behind, if all mastered correctly, being an invincible pugilist.
Robinson, when he got his chips backing away from him, saying he'd come in and tell you. I saw him at his best, and he was the best fighter ever lived, pound for pound.
Hand speed, foot speed, punching power, overall strength, defense, stamina and heart, chin, punch selection, attitude and dedication, and last, but certainly not least, the one that stumps out 99.9% of the competition, natural talent.
When he was at his prime, dude, he was a marvel. There was a time for a few years where he was just an unstoppable force.
I missed it. I missed it in life.
I was there, man. I was there. I was watching the whole time. I couldn't believe it.
But Roy Jones Jr. is easily, in my opinion, watching him fight, the most beautiful fighter that ever lived.
Now, I'm a fairly young guy, so I'm not going to force anyone to take my opinion for fact. Boxing is a sport that involves continuous learning. I study the game every day, but have no doubt that some of the viewers and active commenters around here know a thing or two that I don't.
It is a difficult thing to do, but you've got to take into account style, punching power, technique. All these things come into it.
Before we break down why we think Roy might be the best, it's important for me to explain that there's a big difference between being the best and the greatest. The best is simply a subjective matter based on what a fighter can do in the ring. But the greatest is normally argued with facts, such as how deep their resumes are or how many title defenses they may have had. To put it in perspective, my list of the top 5 greatest consists of 0 fighters from the last 30 years, simply because modern guys can't compete with the level of activity fought by the old legends. So, without any further delay, let's take a look at Roy Jones Jr. Remember to hit the like button if you enjoy our content, as today we are happy to bring you some of the very best, never-before-seen high-quality footage of Jones, 1080p all the way. So sit back and enjoy.
Roy Jones Jr. Particularly, oh man, saves the Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran.
Bernard Hopkins, and anybody else that you've seen in the last 12 years, understand?
The hand speed of Roy Jones is second to none, a clear 10 out of 10. The large majority of his victories were won on this skill alone. Predominantly an orthodox fighter, Jones's deadly right hand was the only tool he needed while fighting in the center of the ring. The lead left was often used as a ploy or distraction before starting an attack with his right. A prime Jones was a very cautious fighter. He may have one of the best highlight reels in the game, but he definitely knew the exact time to catch an opponent that carried a genuine threat to him. Once they were off balance, the combinations would fly, leaving them with no choice but to hit the ground.
Big right hand crumples Gonzalez in the 12th round.
I would say that's not possible. You're describing the best fighter ever. That's how we perceived Roy Jones the night he beat John Ruiz.
Honestly, the speed of Jones will forever be remembered. It's so fast you can seriously compare it to a fighter 5 weight classes below him.
A violent storm, and Roy Jones Jr. was just a virtuoso who could do shit that nobody else could do and reinvented how to engage.
The use of fast feet can be to evade an attack and or to cut off the ring. Alongside a great jab, this is the ultimate key behind the art of ring generalship. Until modern-day wizards Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, an old-school fighter by the name of Willie Pep was undoubtedly the master of this, once winning a round without throwing a single punch. Unfortunately, this is not a skill that came naturally to Jones. Looking back now, it's no surprise that he's had a torrid time avoiding getting knocked out in his later years. Jones's ability to always be in control came down to his concentration and knowing when to let shots off. When on the defensive, his feet were often a bit plotty, and he really didn't fight well off the ropes. I see similar issues with some modern-day fighters like Canelo and Deontay Wilder. While both having a decent level of concentration and upper body skill, I think the lack of footwork will come back to bite them as the years pass by. But Jones was so good, he made up for it with a few subtle moves.
Because he doesn't need mobile footwork. He doesn't chase people around. He likes when his opponents come to him, throw a shot, he can evade and count, okay? He stands in the Philly shell stance, so the lead arm is down, other hand up, protecting the head, and then he sticks his chin out, baits his opponent to throw a punch right in my chin, right? And when they do, when they feel like they got an open shot, they throw it, they commit, he pulls, he leans back.
You'll notice, Jones often chose to fight with his legs wide apart, making himself a stationary target, but allowing great power to be generated from his back foot as he leads with his right hand. This is also very comparable to the recently retired Andre Ward. Overall, I wouldn't say Jones had a great defense, but his other abilities, such as his lightning-fast reflexes, allowed him to get away with it, even while fighting all-time great counterpunchers like James Toney.
Jones wobbled Toney just slightly with that left hook.
Get out the rope, get out.
Showboating by Jones. He attempts feinting. Left hook, and down goes Toney.
I have to perform. Yes, I feel like I deserve to come out tonight and give the crowd what they're paying for, because some guys seem to be forgetting and thinking that I'm a nice guy or something. I am nice, but I'm awful crucial with these hands.
Round one, Wood. Oh, and down goes Pace. That's it. Straight left hand was spectacular. And this is it. For the first time in 11 fights, Jelani Malenga has been knocked out.
To me, that's got to be like the biggest high in the world, to knock a man out. Like, you was like, I don't like you. Well, yeah, I don't like you. Ha! They're down there on the ground. You're up like, yeah, man.
In boxing, power is the simple life hack. Countless amounts of great champions have relied on this skill alone to leave a legacy. After all, it only takes one shot to end the fight. This is another category that Jones would be held in high regard. During his 50-fight destruction, where he only lost once by disqualification, Jones knocked out pretty much every man he fought. Granted, they weren't all at an elite level, but ask the durable long-reigning champion Virgil Hill how hard he is.
Over Hill's jab. Whoa! Right to the body, down unheard of.
Knocking people through the ropes, turning men into zombies? Yeah, this guy could crack.
Roy Jones Jr. perfected his skills in one of the greatest, not the greatest fighter of my era, with speed